Hello, kids. Have you ever had something that somebody else wanted? Well, this is a great story. That's called That Rabbit That Belongs to Emily Brown by Cressida, Cowell, and illustrated by Neil Layton. Once upon a time, there was a little girl called Emily Brown and an old gray rabbit called Stanley. One day, Emily Brown and Stanley were launching themselves into outer space to look for alien forms when there was a rat-a-tat-tat on the kitchen door. It was the chief footman to the Queen. He said, "The Queen has very kindly noticed your rabbit. She would like to have that bunny-wunny. In return, she offers this brand new golden teddy bear." Emily Brown looked at the Queen's teddy bear. It was stiff and new and gold and horrible. It had staring eyes and no smile at all. "No, thank you," said Emily Brown. "This rabbit is not for sale, and his name isn't Bunny-Wunny, it's Stanley." And Emily Brown politely shut the door. An hour or so later, Emily Brown and Stanley were riding through the Sahara Desert on their motorbike when there was a rat-a-tat-tat on the garden door. It was the army. The captain saluted and said,
"Her Most Royal Highness, Queen Gloriana III, greets Mrs. Emily Brown, and she would still like to have that bunny-wunny. In return, she offers her brand new golden teddy bear and 10 talking dolls that say, 'Mama, Mama.'"
Emily Brown said, "I don't want 10 talking dolls. I want my rabbit. And his name isn't Bunny-Wunny, it's Stanley." And Emily Brown sent that army away, less polite this time. Well, a few days later, Emily Brown and Stanley were deep sea diving off the Great Barrier Reef. And there was a rat-a-tat-tat on the garden door. It was the Navy. The Admiral saluted and said,
"Her Most Glorious Royalness, Queen Gloriana III, greets Mrs. Emily Brown, and she would like you to hand over that rabbit at your earliest convenience. She points out that she is the poshest person on the planet, and Bunny-Wunny will be much better off with her. In return, she offers you the brand new golden teddy bear, 10 talking dolls that say, 'Mama, Mama,' and 50 rocking horses that rock forever."
"I don't care who she is," said Emily Brown. "The rabbit belongs to me, and his name isn't Bunny-Wunny, it's Stanley." And she sent the Navy away. Oh boy, look at this. A few weeks later, Emily Brown and Stanley were climbing through the Amazon rainforest when there was a rat-a-tat-tat on the garden door. It was the Air Force. The wing commander saluted and said, "Her Excellency, the Most Mighty Queen Gloriana III, greets Emily Brown and says she must have Bunny-Wunny right now, or she will not answer for the consequences. In return, we will give her a brand new golden teddy bear, 10 talking dolls that say 'Mama, Mama,' and 50 rocking horses that rock forever, and all the toys she could ever desire." Ooh. Would you give up your most loved teddy bear for all the toys in the world? Now, Emily Brown was fed up. She sent that Air Force away, and she pinned a big notice on the garden gate that read, "This rabbit not for sale, and his name isn't Bunny-Wunny, it's Stanley." Signed, Emily Brown. Well, a few months later, Emily Brown and Stanley were lying fast asleep in bed, dreaming of all the adventures they would have the very next day, when there was absolutely no noise at all at the door, or at the gate, or at the window. Silently, in crept the Queen's commandos. Oh, shh! And they stole the rabbit that belonged to Emily Brown. When Emily Brown woke up the next morning, for the first time in her life, there was no Stanley. Oh. Emily Brown was so cross that she knew just what had happened. She marched straight up to that palace on the hill, and she knocked on that Queen's naughty front door. Rat-a-tat-tat. Emily Brown ran into the palace, and there was that naughty Queen, crying like anything. The first thing she said, "Oh, thank goodness you've come, Emily Brown. There's something wrong with Bunny Bunny." There indeed was something wrong with Stanley. That silly, naughty Queen put him in the royal washing machine all night, and he had come out with an odd color pink. The royal dressmakers had stuffed him full of stuffing that he wasn't flip-floppy anymore. And worst of all, they had sewn up his mouth where Emily Brown had picked it away, and Stanley wasn't smiling anymore. Stanley was miserable. "Oh, Emily Brown, is there anything you can do?" asked the Queen. "There certainly is," said Emily Brown. "I shall take Stanley home." The Queen started crying harder than ever. "And I have all the toys in the world, but none as nice as Stanley." Emily Brown felt sorry for that silly old Queen, so she went to the royal cupboard and she took down that brand new golden teddy bear and placed it on the Queen's lap. Emily Brown whispered so that no one could hear, "You take that brand new teddy bear and you play with him all day, sleep with him all night, hold him very tight, and be sure to have lots of adventures. And maybe one day you will wake up with a real toy of your own." And Emily Brown and Stanley, they went home. That was the last Emily Brown heard from that silly, naughty Queen for quite some time. But one day, and a couple of months later, as Emily Brown and Stanley were exploring the outmost regions of the Milky Way, there was a mailman, with a letter from Emily Brown. And it just said, "Thank you." Good story? Yeah. Have a good day.